Hello and welcome back to Exothermic Plays Games. I'm Exothermic and the date today is Thursday, July 25th, 2024. I've been doing a countdown of my favorite video games of all time through each day of the year, and coming in at number 160 is Super Smash Bros. Apparently, the 160s is where a lot of fighting games live on my ranking, and to round them out, I'm talking about Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo 64. Now an absolute behemoth in the industry, the Smash Bros. Franchise kicked off one of the greatest crossover ideas ever made, taking characters from Nintendo's most popular properties and pitting them against each other in platform fighting combat. The game has a modest 12-character roster consisting of Mario, Yoshi, Donkey Kong, Link, Samus, Kirby, Fox, Pikachu, Luigi, Jigglypuff, Captain Falcon, and Ness. I love my hungry pink ball, and I've been a Kirby main for 25 long years. He's gonna go Poyo your Poyo! After choosing your game type and then selecting your characters, you can pick from a handful of maps. Each map has different elements, from floating platforms to moving platforms and other platforms or obstacles and interactable terrain. Combat is fairly simple. You can make basic attacks with the A button, modifying them a little with your movement. While each character has their own little nuance to the basic attacks, they're exactly that, basic. The interesting differences, however, largely come from the special attacks for each character. Depending on what direction you push the joystick, or if you even push it at all, you'll have a different ability when you press the B button. Using Kirby as an example, holding B when not moving the joystick sucks up an enemy and you can swallow them, replacing your primary B ability with theirs. Kirby's up B uses an air cutter to attack upwards and then back down, sending another small attack wave in front of him. His down B attack turns him into a rock and he crashes down towards the ground, dealing massive damage to anyone he hits. Damage is done a bit differently in Smash Bros. Compared to many fighting games. Instead of depleting someone's health, you simply build up damage, causing them to get knocked around more and more each time they get hit. In addition to your attacks, there's a wide array of items in the games, from different kinds of bombs or mines to Pokeballs that spawn random Pokemon with different effects. My personal favorites, however, are the baseball bat and the hammer. The bat utilizes smash attacks, which are done by pushing the joystick and holding the A button at the same time for an extra powerful hit. When you do that with the bat, however, it's rather effective. The hammer from the original Donkey Kong puts you in a constant state of attack, though it does limit some of your mobility. But if you do hit someone with that, they take massive damage too. Knocking an enemy out is done by either launching them way off the screen or making them fall off the screen below the level. This makes the platforming elements, in some ways, just as important as the rest of the fighting. That's one of the reasons I love Kirby in these games. Most of the characters can just jump and maybe use some of their other attacks or abilities for a little extra mobility. Kirby and Jigglypuff, however, can float, and with Kirby's up B attack, it gives him even more reach. Just, don't land on the mine you threw earlier in the match. Outside of the regular multiplayer, there is a solo mode for the game, with each character taking on a gauntlet of enemies in a very thin storyline. You're in a score based on your performance in each leg of the gauntlet, most of which are just fighting stages. There's a couple, however, that are more platform or puzzle based. Each character has their own variations on the target smash and racing stages. With both types, they're timed, and for target smash, you have to, smash targets. For the racing stage, you have to simply get to the end of the maze you're in. That's easier said than done. You don't need to actually beat these stages to advance in your gauntlet, but they do add to your score. At the end of the gauntlet, you fight the Master Hand, a mysterious gloved hand that can shoot rockets at you and other weird shenanigans. The idea with Smash Bros. Is they are actually just toys or something, and maybe you're being played with? It's a little unclear if this is more Toy Story or just actually toys. The single-player gauntlets are fun to clear for each character and serve as a pretty good way of getting practice in with each against a variety of opponents. The Target Smash stage in particular requires you to utilize the full toolkit for each of them, so if you're able to clear that, you've really got a handle on things. There's something to be said for the simplicity of this first Smash Bros. Title, as it's easy to grasp, and movesets are limited enough that it's got a really low barrier to entry. The core mechanics have enough depth, however, that there's still quite a bit of room for skill expression. I'm a lover of items in Smash Bros., and while they're not that crazy in this first one, I'll expand on that opinion when I cover other games in the franchise later this year. I'll admit the inputs aren't quite as responsive as I'd like, but most of the gameplay is also fairly forgiving, so it works out. With only 9 stages in multiplayer, there's not a ton going on, but that does allow each one to feel very different, which keeps the variety up. It's easy to forget just how replayable this N64 title is when the newer ones have just so many more things, but I could still play this for hours on end and have absolutely no issues with that. Join me tomorrow as I talk about my 159th favorite game, where I should probably apologize to that tree.